On today's Hot Sheet, I'm discussing Case-Shiller and the FHFA house price indices, and metros with the biggest profit margins for home sellers. Today is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. I am Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. Welcome back into the Hot Sheet. Let me know which market you're tuning in live from. I'm here in my Connecticut studio, at least for the next few days. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. We've got a bunch to dig into today. S&P Case-Shiller, lagging measure, of course. We're going to look backwards on what the gold standard for house prices says. It definitely says the opposite of that buyer's uncle who was telling his little niece or nephew that home prices were going to crash. That certainly did not happen in 2023, and the year-over-year numbers indicate quite the opposite of that. We're going to get into that. And the FHFA price index, we're going to take a little bit of a forward look. What are they? What's their consensus moving forward, as well as some of the biggest profit margin metros out there? So a lot to dig into. Before we do that, I'd like to mention a BAM webinar that's going to be going live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. How to build a network of clients for life. Amy Stockburger is going to be joining me. The system that Amy has created to build lifetime clients it's mind-boggling. I'm so passionate about it right now because of where we're at in this industry, of how important it is for every real estate agent to build lifetime clients, to not rely on all of maybe the portals or everything that's going on. If there's lifetime clients that are like, I want the value that he or she brings to me in my real estate transactions, and I want to tell everybody else about it, it doesn't matter what happens in this industry. Okay, you'll be compensated fairly. You'll enjoy the work. And so Amy's going to be joining myself on a free BAM webinar. I'm so excited to be bringing this to everybody, obviously, without a paywall and all of that. That'll be tomorrow at 3 o'clock. If you're a BAMX member, there's going to be a follow-up to this where we're going to have the time to go even deeper. Make sure if you're not a BAMX member, you use code HOT to get 10% off of your BAMX membership. But tomorrow, 3 o'clock, free BAM webinar, Amy Stockburger, how to build a network of clients for life. So don't miss that. Let's take a look at Case-Shiller, S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index, quite the name. That it was released for February's results. So Case-Shiller, while it is the gold standard for home pricing across the country, it's what everybody wants to point to when they point to a precise, exact data point on where home prices are, where they've been. Oftentimes it's Case-Shiller indices. Okay, great. But it is old data. And so what happened in February is really reflective of buyers that were looking in December and going under contract at the end of the year or at the beginning of this year. That feels like a long time ago. It's December was a different world. I mean, we had sixes in front of the 30-year fixed. It was holiday time. People's spirits were certainly up. That's a different world than we live in today. Not saying that they're down or anything like that. It's just different. Tomorrow is May. So take that context with how you look at Case-Shiller. But it certainly proves the point that all of the doom and gloomers that said 2023 was going to see home prices crash were wrong. And you can point to that uncle being dead wrong over and over again with your buyers. You can point towards history of what actually happened. And you can point towards the history of what happens in the spring. Spring markets reflect usually higher prices than at any other point in the year. We're in the middle of that or towards the end of it. Or maybe in your market, you consider the spring market already behind you. But Case-Shiller does have their report out for February 24. We should acknowledge it. We should know, obviously, what is going on with this metric. So year-over-year home prices nationally, according to Case-Shiller, 6.4% year-over-year from February to February 2024. That's up from 6% in January. So we're seeing a consistent climb there. They have a 10-city composite and a 20-city composite. Okay, their 10-city composite is an 8% increase, up from 7.4. The 20-city is 7.3 increase, up from 6.6. San Diego leads them all with an 11.4% increase. That's year over year, February to February. Chicago and Detroit both reported 8.9%. Portland had the smallest growth at 2.2%. These are huge numbers. The analysis from Brian D. Luke, head of commodities, real and digital assets at S&P Dow Jones Indices. Good thing business cards don't really exist anymore, or that would be a run-on sentence on the biz card. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. I just saw this in Arizona last week, where if you've got the update on the iPhone, if you don't have an iPhone, I just apologize to you in advance. But if you have the update on the iPhone, you can just swipe, have your phone on, the screen unlocked, and then you just touch phones at the top, and it just transfers whatever your card saved for yourself and friends. So like all those apps that came out to do that, like, oh, get my digital business card, get my gone. Apple just destroyed all of those businesses. You can just do it with the new update to the phone. But I digress here. U.S. home prices, this is from Brian D. Luke, head of commodities, real and digital assets at S&P Dow Jones Indices. U.S. home prices continued to drive higher. Our national composite rose by 6% in January, the fastest annual since 2022. Stronger gains came for our 10 and 20 city composites. We've commented on how consistent each market performed during 2023. There was a lot of consistency to 23 going upward, outside of maybe a couple of markets. While there is a large disparity between leaders such as San Diego versus laggards such as with Portland, the broad market performance is tightly bunched up. So you're seeing more of a normal increase. Although 6 and 7% numbers are pretty big historically, but they're not as big as 15 and 20%, which we saw just a couple of years ago. The average annual gains between high and low tiers across cities tracked the indices is just 1.1%. The low price tier indices have outperformed high price indices for 17 months. So there's the commentary from there. Taking a look at some of this data here. Here's the CoreLogic Case-Shiller for San Diego. You see the San Diego prices cooled down even below flat when the rates ticked up, and now have really come all the way back and are back to double-digit gains in San Diego. But we're not seeing the 20 and 30% gains that we saw early on. Going further into the report here is just overall the 10 city, the 20 city, and the U.S. national. Of course, all of this will be available for you inside of BAMX, so you can download this, as well as every single day we upload the hot sheet show notes for you to use in your database, your texting, your email newsletters, all of that. That'll be uploaded as well. 10% off. Get our code HOT gets you 10% off of BAMX. So 10 city had higher gains there back in the last before the great financial crisis. You see the 10 city really outperformed national and 20 city composite back then, but really tight this time around. The 10 city, the U.S. national, and the 20 city have all really moved together. A year and a half, 2 years there of up over 20% gains, then dropping down to 0% nationally and going below for the cities before now increasing up into the 6, 7, 8% range on home price year over year gains. So really, you didn't see home prices drop at all. You saw them get stunted down to flat, basically at 0%, before moving back up. Right? We're going to take a look at one of my favorite FHA charts every single month that we get to take a look at in a little bit, and it looks very similar to this. I think it's just the FHFA one is cleaner. That over time, what does real estate do? It does one thing. It goes up and to the right when you take a take a look at over time, and we're not playing the percentage year-over-year game. That's where you get the ups and the downs and the seasonality impacting that as well. Here's taking a look at, we'll take a look at some of the metropolitan areas. Atlanta, 6.4%, Boston, 8%, Charlotte, 8.2, Chicago, 8.9, Cleveland, 7. Obviously, the San Diego standing out at 11.4. Washington at 7.1, Tampa at 4.3, San Francisco at 5.2. Portland was the bottom. This is the 20-city composite here. Portland being the bottom at 2.2. Phoenix at 4.9. Month over, here we go. February 2024, January 24 to December 23. From December to January, month over month, you had almost everybody in the negatives except for San Diego. You had a couple flat numbers. Seattle was flat. But from January to February, everybody's in the positive except for Tampa at negative 0.3%. Tampa experiencing a certain uptick in inventory, which is probably holding back price growth there. All right, there you go on Case-Shiller's lagging data. Again, February seems like forever ago, but Case-Shiller is always really, truly, 2 full months behind as we step into May tomorrow. All right, let's move over to the FHFA House Price Index. This is a monthly report. Their data is also through February 2024. Okay. It's very accurate data. I like when we look at the projections, and that's what we're going to look at here with FHFA is what are they seeing out moving forward. Okay. Before we get to that, the monthly report data through February 24 shows a 1.2% increase in U.S. home prices from the previous month. So Case-Shiller coming in at month over month, where were they at? Month over month was 0.6% for U.S. national. FHFA comes in at 1.2 for February compared to January. And then annual home prices at 7% versus the 6.6%. So FHFA a little bit higher than Case-Shiller. Okay, this is where the numbers can come in a little bit differently depending on which index we're looking at. I like to look at them all and get a consensus of where we're at. They're all pretty close right now. U.S. home prices rebounded. The Deputy Chief Director for FHFA Division of Research and Statistics says with an increase in February after declining slightly in January. So FHFA saw the same thing as Case-Shiller, slight decline in January, a rebound in February. After that, all 9 census divisions experienced price appreciation for the last 12 months, with New England and Middle Atlantic divisions posting double-digit growth, right? And it really depends on where you can get the variance and numbers of, what are they looking at for these divisions, okay? Now, let's take a further look at the FHFA report. Well, I'll give you some of the divisions here really quick. 1.2% up from January, 7% year over year. And when we look at the West South Central Division, plus 0.4%, 3% New England Division, 3.7% in the West South Central, and 10.8% in the Middle Atlantic Division. Those were the top line numbers. Okay. Going to the chart here, we can take a deeper look at that. 1 month change, US 1.2, Pacific 1.3, Mountain 0.4, West North Central 1.1%, West South Central 0.4%, East North Central 0.9%, East South Central 1.2%. New England, the biggest gainer, also the lowest inventory, so makes sense there at 3%. Middle Atlantic 2.6%, South Atlantic 1.4%. On those metros, the estimates, when you look at previous estimates, some of them were down, so beating estimates really almost across the board here on these numbers from FHFA. Okay, this is my favorite chart from the FHFA every single month. It's very clean. It's a great one for that uncle of the buyer who says, well, we'll wait for home prices to crash. Okay, so you're waiting for the one mortgage crisis of the last 100 years, this goes back 30. It's a fair enough example to happen again at a time frame when you could talk to your niece, you could talk to your nephew on how difficult it is to obtain a mortgage today. It's not easy. Not everybody gets one. Not everybody qualifies. It's why mortgage applications are down. It's hard to qualify for financing. Okay. Historically, real estate goes up and to the right. When you buy with the approach that most buyers do, homeowner 10 years, 10 plus years, you're typically going to be in a really good, solid position. Of course, that chart will be available for BAMX members who want to grab that and help educate that point forward for folks that need to understand what do home prices do. Here's the 12-month house price changes from the prior year to the most recent year per division. Okay, so you can see here the Pacific down from negative 2.2% price change from February 22 to February 2023, now at 6.6. That's to me the biggest swing here on the chart. U.S. had a 4.6% price change from 22 to 2023, now 7%. Man, average that out, it's 5+%. We're back to just like a normal appreciation run on U.S. home prices. You really never see home prices go down outside of the great financial crisis. I don't think anybody's rooting for another one of those to happen. Okay. And we don't have any indication that certainly would be driven by the mortgage industry like the last time. All right. There's more data inside of that FHFA chart. If you want to dig into that, obviously we'll have that linked up for you inside of BAMX along with the charts and everything else. Brock, great chart. It's one of those ones where it's like, well, my uncle says home prices are going to crash. You text it over and hey, can we get on a group text with the uncle? Like, where on the chart do you anticipate the crash coming? Like, what do you see happening next? Or, tell me more about that. Why? Well, my uncle bought a house in 2007 and got it. Now let's educate about the difference between today and 2007. A lot of people got hurt during that time frame. I was certainly one of them. But some folks remember that pain and don't realize that that was such an outlier in comparison to the historic U.S. housing market. We have no similarities to that right now. All right, there are some metros with the biggest profit margins as reported by Adam. A new Adam report shows quarterly and annual drop in profit margins from home sales in 89 or 66% of the 134 metros analyzed. We have an article up on nowbam.com, which you can check this out. 63 of those metros reported annual increases in seller profit margins. It's a great thing for sellers. Last week, Adam released its quarter 1 2024 home sales report. It showed a decline in profit margins for median price single family home and condo sales to 55.3%, down from 57.1% the previous quarter, and from 56.5% in the first quarter of last year. The quarterly and annual drop in profit margins coincided with a quarterly 4.3% decline in the national median home price, down to 333%. Okay. Well, there you go from Adam. Let's take a look at that. The U.S. historical median home sales prices. Okay. That's their chart. We just looked at, obviously, Case-Shiller, and we looked at FHFA. Now, Adam is projecting a little bit further out. So we've got through February there. They've got February or March wrapped up into this. Okay. So they're looking at the entire quarter and they're saying that, hey, March maybe isn't going to be as good on prices. We'll see when we get some more data from some of these other indexes. According to Adam's report, though, home prices typically soften during the winter home buying season. The recent quarterly decline in profit margins is one of the most significant in the past 10 years. Concurrently, after several increases last year, investment returns for the sellers have dropped for the second consecutive quarter, reaching their lowest level since since mid-2021. All right. Rob Barber, CEO, says the latest price and profit numbers show notably downward trends, which raises new questions about whether the housing market boom is indeed ebbing or even ending after so many years of improvement. But due caution is needed in looking at the first quarter data, what the patterns mean. We saw a similar downward pattern from late 22 into early 23, and then the market surged. Okay, profits and profit margins are still very high by historical measures. Amid all that, the spring buying season will be a huge barometer for whether the market still has the steam in its engine. I think one of the things that, isn't with where we are in inventory, one of the things that's not pushing prices up even more is the buyers in the market have affordability constraints. Okay. And you would look at this level of inventory and any other context and say, wow, prices should be going up even more than they have been. But there are a lot of folks who just don't have as much gunpowder to go out there and push those prices up. And so we will see what happens in March with prices. Is March going to mean a pullback on that FHFA and on that Case-Shiller number when we see that in 30 days? Here are the 10 metros, though, with the largest quarterly increases in home sale profit margins. If I'm in one of these markets, I'm certainly leading an email newsletter with this data. Like if it's Atlantic City makes the top 10 on this profit list for homeowners. Shorten that, play with it. But that's a title that I'm using. I don't want to give it away where we came in, but I want to tease the open rate and then share the data and educate on the data of what that looks like. Ocala, Florida comes in at 1, up from 90.8% in quarter 4 to 128% in quarter 1. That's the profit margin for sellers in Ocala. Punta Gorda, where inventory is up the most in the entire country, doesn't matter. Sellers are cashing in. Punta Gorda up from 83.5% to 103.1%. Daytona Beach, Florida, at 81.1%. Scranton, Pennsylvania, up to 106.5% profit margin, up from 94.1%. Atlantic City, not just known for their casinos, now known for their profit margins. We know the casinos have big profit margins, but now home sellers do too. 72.8% up from 62.1%. Bakersfield, California, 78.7% up from 68.7%. Fort Wayne, Indiana, 64.7% profit margin. We've got Arizona, Kingman area, up to 76.3%. Lake Havasu City and Kingman area. Memphis, Tennessee, up to 63.9%. And Thousand Oaks, Ventura, California, up to 71.2%. Those are the 10 metros with the largest quarterly increases in home sale profit margins. There's more data to dig into on this, and I certainly would advise checking that out. Might be worth you using in some of your updates to your database. The top 10 housing markets with the biggest quarterly increases. Here they are in a graph form that'll be available for you. It's on the nowbam.com article, but it's also broken out, easy for you to download inside of BAMX. If you're also looking for things to make your business easier inside of BAMX, every single Friday we release at least 3 social templates for you ready to edit. Last Friday, I know we released 4. We have a floor, but we can exceed the floor. We release at least 3 social templates done for you, easy to edit, as well as 2 video scripts and 1 email script each and every single Friday. It's BAMX in a box, delivered, done for you, just for being a BAMX member. That's inclusive of all of our courses. We upload new courses every single month. We're uploading a new one tomorrow. All of our office hours. I'll be doing one with Amy Stockberger to dig deeper into tomorrow's free webinar, the public webinar, on an upcoming office hours. We also have the community inside of BAMX. All of that available to BAMX members. Use code HOT to get 10% off of BAMX. All of the social content that's done for you, we get it right from the Hot Sheet show notes. The Hot Sheet show notes still being uploaded and the charts so that you can take what you're being given every single Friday and add more to it if you need even more. What we don't need more of is increases on the 10-year Treasury. the U.S. 10-year Treasury, but we're not getting that at the moment. Continue to remain at an elevated level at 4.669. That's where we sit right now at just before 10 a.m. Eastern time, just before 7 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, 4.669 on the 10-year Treasury. Looking at where we signed out of the day yesterday on the 30-year fixed at 7.43, a slight tick down from where we ended on Friday. 7.43 is your daily report from Mortgage News Daily on the 30-year fixed. For us to hang out, there's a couple different ways you can do it. One of them in Dallas would be in June 25th to the 27th, coming to the 1,000 Watt Brand and Marketing Summit. I'll be there. Amy Stockberger, who's going to be doing the webinar with me tomorrow, she'll be with me, and Eric, the broke agent, at the 1,000 Watt Brand and Marketing Summit. It's an event for those who want to meet the moment with confidence. Okay, you can get your tickets at 1000watt.net/summit. We'll link it down below. Use the promo code BAM to get the biggest discount in the market. This is a room filled with CMOs, brokers and leaders, agent leaders who want to take their branding and their marketing to the next level. It's not a room full of pontificators. It's a room full of doers. I'd love for you to join me there. Use code BAM to get the best discount off of that event. Let's hang out in Dallas, June 25th to the 27th for that deal. All right, guys. Hope you had a great morning so far. We're going to be uploading a new real word later on here today on the channel, on the BAM YouTube channel. If you've been thinking about subscribing, you haven't gone down, it's right below. It's right down there. Just go down and hit subscribe. New real word podcast coming out later today. Looking forward to seeing you over there. Till then, go serve some people and have a great day. Thank you and toodaloo.